Because when I first got to the Bay Area, nobody cared about me. I was nobody. I was driving my mom's used minivan hand-me-down that had the seats stolen out of the back. It looked terrible.
Were you in the South Bay?
I was working in San Jose. Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect to San Jose. I'm from the South Bay.
Yeah.
But there's a bleakness to the South
There
Bay.
There is a little bit of bleakness. And then I lived across the street in this tiny apartment, lived across the street from the Jack in the Box in Mountain View. So it's not like I was strolling onto the big stage and just blowing people away.
I grew up right near Mountain View. I'm very familiar.
Yeah.
I probably skated the curbs at that Jack in the
probably
Box.
did. Yeah.
Did you train at the Gold's Gym off Rengstorff?
I did, actually.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That was a great gym.
That's a great gym.
That was a great gym. I don't think it's still
I
there.
would go there super late before my writing sessions.
Okay.
And it had the benefit of being open really, really late.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, Rengstorff, I haven't thought about that in a long time. So the point is, I also started where a lot of people are starting. And what did I do? I put myself in a high density environment. Next, what did I do? Knowing no one, I started to volunteer at events where they had interesting speakers and interesting people coming to hear those speakers. So I put myself in Silicon Valley, and then I began volunteering for groups like SVACE. I don't know if it exists anymore. The Silicon Valley Association of Startup Entrepreneurs, I think it was. TIE, the Indus Entrepreneur, which is a very sort of Indian or Indian American focused organization that does a lot in the realm of startups. And I would carry water. I would take out garbage. I would check name badges. I would check people in. Nothing was too low for me. And I'll give you guys a tip that will be obvious to some, but non-obvious to many. When you are volunteering, a lot of folks who volunteer do the absolute bare minimum because they are not getting paid. This is not going to get you noticed. But it sets a very low bar so that if you volunteer at these events and someone's dropping the ball or there's something happening that needs fixing and you just proactively do it, the producers of these events will notice you. And this is what happened over time, over a few months. And then I got invited to join in on meetings that were planning future events. And I eventually got to the point where I was recruiting speakers and able to set the agenda for an entire main event. And then that's how I got to know, say, Jack Canfield, who is the co-creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul and many others, who introduced me to my book agent many, 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 many years later, Jack Canfield. But I was a nobody then. You have to play the long game, but you can be methodical in how you play that. And that is one approach, just as an example for how to build your network, which snowballs over time. Don't hump every VIP's leg within 10 minutes of meeting them. Play it cool, you know?
And in gatherings where that person is has a lot of demands on them is the last place you want to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
The way you're going to make yourself
no
memorable,
saliency to that.
Yeah.
Right?
The way you're going to make yourself memorable with people like that is to be very professional, always on time, predict what they're going to need or problems they'll run into beforehand and address them before they even think of them, and be easy to deal with. And people like that, high performers, notice these things. They will make note of it.
Yeah, the being easy to work with is something that I used to tell my graduate students and postdocs. I mean, because the opposite of that, nobody wants.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody wants that.
Yeah, especially in the beginning. Like later, okay, great. You're Steve Jobs. You want to be difficult here and there or a lot? No problem.
Yeah.
Right? But in the beginning, that can be a real liability. You can make up for that if you're the best in the world, but in the very beginning, you probably won't be. So try to stack the deck in your favor. Volunteering is a shortcut.